Well, good morning, everybody. I'm going to try some bird photography today. I'm at Hartlen Point, or on Tanner Trail. It's just at the mouth of the Halifax Harbor. It's right behind me, and we'll venture up the coast and see if there's any wildlife. And I probably won't be able to name anything I come across, but I'll figure it out afterwards. Well, that was a lot of walking, and I didn't come across any wildlife except one duck that was startled just as I was, and it took off. I couldn't even identify it. I'm on my way back and see if I come across anything. And there is something that did pique my interest, and it's I'll explain more when I get a little bit closer back to it. And then I have another spot lined up if this doesn't pan out. Okay, so over here off in the distance is an old lighthouse, missing the lantern part of it, but that's what it is. It's on Devil's Island. It would be an interesting subject to use as a Milky Way, except I believe the island's private property. But, so what I'm framing up here, it might be hard to see. So I'm low to the ground to avoid a gap in here of just nothingness. They come lower and make it smaller. They add more interest. And then probably what I'm going to do is do a focal stack. So I'll shoot this. I got this framed at 120. And then I'll probably move in much closer with my telephoto and blend those two. And then I'll do a long exposure for both of them, kind of make it a mysterious type image. We'll see if it turns out. So my first few images were blurry, and I thought it was just with the wind or the reset on the self timer, just with the telephoto being 600 mils. But I forgot to turn off the vibration control, so it was trying to steady it. I came out onto the point, or as far as I can walk, and shooting the derelict lighthouse again with the telephoto, and I got about a minute exposure, long exposure going. So there's a bunch of water that's draining out of this tidal pool here, and then it's making a shimmer across some very colorful stones. So I'm just gonna try to pick out a few spots for some like abstract stuff and see if it pans out or not, or if I can get a balance. But nothing fancy, just straight down looking on it, and we'll see what happens. I've used my polarizer to try to cut down some of the shimmer on the water, but that's what I was going for. Add a little bit of extra depth to it, and I'll fire them up on the screen. When I was walking out, I noticed these nice rocks leading up to that lighthouse. I didn't shoot it because at that point we were still doing a burden video. But since we've clearly transitioned away because I haven't been able to find anything close to shoot, I'm going to try this similar thing that I did before. So I'll lower down, I'll shoot with a wider focal length, and then blend it to pronounce the derelict lighthouse. So I'll set up and we can compare the two. Well, when I was shooting the telephoto portion of that stack, a bunch of seagulls, I assume, or some sort of gull, were flying around. So hopefully, I got a picture of it that turned out, and there's a fast enough shutter speed it shouldn't be blurry, but we'll see. That's assuming I can stitch together my handheld focal stack. All right, on to the next thing. So these are the two images of the derelict lighthouse on Devil's Island, using the same technique of the focal blend. The first one is a long exposure, although at the time I was shooting it, I was expecting to kind of go black and white. I like the color in the rocks, and then the black and white photo is shot at a much quicker shutter speed, and it has the gulls off in the distance there. But you can let me know in the comments which one you like better. My preference is the color long exposure. All right, so the birds that are out there, I'm not sure what they are. I'll fill it in here. I was trying to shoot those. I don't want to get wet here with the waves. I was trying to shoot those, but the way I like to do them is shoot really low to the ground, and then all that you have in focus is the bird. It's a really nice, super soft foreground, super soft background, and then you kind of get images like this. The problem here is that the waves are coming in, so I can't get close to the ground, and then the waves are also bobbing. The birds are bobbing on the waves. So this male elder duck was off at a considerable distance, but I did manage to capture it with the flapping of its wings or drying off. You can see that there's way more water around the duck that's in focus, and that's because they had to shoot it from a higher vantage point due to the waves and the water. This is also the result of cropping him pretty heavily. That's Hartlen Point. There's another little park just a little further closer to the city. I'm going to check that out, and then I'm not expecting a whole lot from there. And then if there's time, I'll probably head to Sullivan's Pond, which is on the way back, which is normally filled with ducks. It's just sometimes they're a little far away, but we'll see if there's anything close there. This is MacCormacks Provincial Park. Clearly has some hurricane damage, the boardwalk. Bird photography, and I found a penguin. At the point of this park, there's a interesting little structure that's sticking out. We got some seaweed, green seaweed on it, but I tried to frame it up. There's nothing else I kind of used to go along with it. So then I got really low, kind of from this angle, and it kind of almost looks like its own seascape. You see what I mean? You got little tiny people walking in. So this is what caught my eye. You can see it from the road. So take a look. Let's see if we can make anything out of this. Yeah, that probably didn't turn out, but kind of going diagonal straight across the frame with the old pier, or post at least. Might be interesting. Obviously the water comes up past this. This might be an interesting spot to come back to check that out. So the beautifully painted rocks were an interesting surprise. There's a lot of them. But I'll make my way to Sullivan's pond. It's on the way home, so I gotta be back for the kids anyways shortly. So we'll see if there's any interesting ducks there. I know there's I forget what the name of it, Wagner, but I haven't got a good image of one of them yet. But this is the spot where I've seen the wood duck before, so but it wasn't there last time. We'll see you when we get there. So this is Sullivan's pond. It's just right down here that I got some wood duck photos. There's the swans around. Hey, bud. So this is the part of Sullivan's Pond where you can kind of get low to the ground. Most of it actually has, I think it's like a 3-foot retaining wall around most of it, and you can't get that low vantage point, kind of like what I was describing earlier with on the ocean. So just as I ended the video for of the goose, he started coming in towards me and did exactly what I was looking for, except I wasn't ready. So I switched taking photos again and tried to nail it off, but he came in, so it's a little bit too tight on him, but we'll see if any of them turned out. And I sat waiting to see if he'd go for another swim and dry himself off, but I gotta take off to get home for the kids, so we'll have to try another time. But there's 4 of them here, which there weren't last time, but there was none of those other ducks. I think they were all just generic ones. But thank you for watching. We'll check in next time.